There are tons of screenplay contests, but what are the good ones and what are some things you should think about before you submit? Like, what should you expect to get out of it? And we're going to talk about that today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking. If you find value, please be sure to hit that button. Subscribe if you haven't done that. Ring the bell if you want to be notified of new videos. Thank you for doing that. There's links below. Some of those are helpful. There's a free resource for story structure. You might find that helpful. Okay, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into contests. Let's jump in. Everywhere you turn, it seems like there's a new screenwriting contest. There's one here, another one here, and you start thinking, well, should I enter it? And then you start thinking, but if I enter, which one should I enter, and how do I navigate that? So let's talk about some of the benefits, some of the drawbacks of contests, and then we'll get into what are some of the really good ones that you probably should think about entering. The first benefit of contests is they help you know you're ready for the next level. Okay, so contests are kind of like the graduation, in a sense, from intermediate to more advanced screenwriting. So once you start writing and you've written some things and you start to place in some of the more prestigious contests for sure, now you know that your stuff is really ready to be submitted and read by Hollywood professionals. If you're just submitting to random contests and you're not even placing in the finals or semifinals or even quarterfinals, okay, you're not quite ready. There's still some things that you need to learn. So one of the benefits of contests is it helps you know, like, hey, I'm ready. My writing has now gotten a lot better and I can now move on to the next level. Another benefit of contests is they actually can help you get your foot in the door. Now, this is not true for every contest, and a lot of contests promise a lot of things, and I'm going to circle back to that. But one of the things that can happen with contests is somebody in Hollywood might read it and really like your story or really like your writing voice and your writing style and think, hey, I would like to meet with this person. I wonder if they could do blank. And so contests a lot of times do start to open doors. Now, it has to be the right contest to do that. So we'll get to those in a moment, but it is a benefit because it can help you get your foot in the door with the right contest. And third, from just, a very materialistic point of view, the prizes can sometimes be worth it. Just because the contest isn't a prestigious contest doesn't mean it's not worth it. You might win some prize money, you might win some software. I mean, you might be thinking like, okay, I want to afford some screenwriting software, but I can't really afford it because some of them are a little more expensive. And you start thinking, well, what if I enter this contest where one of the prizes is a copy of Final Draft or Fade In Pro or something like that? And you're like, oh, well, if I enter the contest, I'll use my free screenwriting software, write a script, enter the contest, get paid with software, and then I'll have some paid software. So that can be actually really helpful to you. For me personally, I used prize money and I bought a laptop. I won software that I could use. So that was the first time I actually had Final Draft because I won it because I didn't want to pay $250 for it or whatever it was at the time. So contests can actually be benefit to you. And I was literally entering those contests solely for the prize money. I knew they weren't prestigious, but I thought, well, but the prizes are pretty good. So maybe that might be of benefit to you. So some contests actually have some pretty good prizes if you are writing at a level where you can start to win and place in those contests. Okay, some contest drawbacks. Here might be why you don't want to enter contests, or at least some things to be aware of when you do. Contests, several of them, make a lot of promises that they don't really deliver. It's a lot of like kind of clickbaity kinds of things in some ways. It's like, ooh, enter this contest and get read by Hollywood professionals. And you think, oh, Hollywood professionals, I'm in. Well, then you start reading in and like the people that are reading it are the assistant to the agent. Okay, they have no clout. They have no way to move your script forward. Yes, they've read a lot, so they can tell you like, hey, this is a good script. This is not a good script. This is something that I might recommend. But beyond that, you're not really going to get much. So yeah, you might have some Hollywood people that are reading it, but is it really going to help you? Well, that's where you kind of have to start being aware of the fact that, well, probably not going to get a whole lot. You might get some useful notes, maybe, but that's the second drawback. The notes that you get are not always great notes. A lot of the readers in contests are new writers, wannabe writers, people that are like trying to break in. So they're kind of working in Hollywood, yes, but they're starting at the bottom, and that happens for everybody. That's one way to move up through the ranks, to be able to do things in Hollywood, is just kind of start at the bottom, work your way up. And so that does happen. A lot of people are reading for contests, and it's not a bad thing that these people are reading for the contests. It's just that sometimes they don't really quite yet have a great understanding of story or what's working and what's not working. And so some of the notes you get, sometimes if you pay for feedback, you're not always going to get great feedback. So you have to be aware of the level of the contest to know, like, hey, the feedback I get from this contest is going to be a lot better than the feedback I get from a different contest. So just something to be aware of. One other drawback you've probably noticed if you've investigated at all of contests is there are entry fees. I mean, yes, there are prizes, but they pay for the prizes out of the entry fees. So sometimes those entry fees are very affordable and cost efficient, and sometimes they're just exorbitant and you're like, why am I paying for this? So you have to kind of balance what you're paying for with what you're going to get out of the contest, also realizing where your level's at. So it might be worth, if you've never entered a contest, my recommendation would be find a contest that you can afford to enter and enter one of the best scripts that you think you have and just see what happens. That way you will have at least a sense of what's going on. And if it's a script that you've shared with a few other people who actually understand writing and know writing, and you'll see their notes and you'll be able to compare with the notes that you're getting from the contest, and maybe that might be helpful to you. It might help you figure out what's working or not working in your script, or at least one area that you can improve upon for the next script that you write. Okay, Jake, but what are the good contests? Well, there are really 4 really good ones. So these are the 4 that just kind of like, if you place in these, some of them even as high as just the quarterfinals, if you just get a quarterfinal placement, you're going to start to get some action, some traction with Hollywood. Some people may contact you. If you were semifinalist, definitely a finalist, you're probably going to be getting some feedback from professionals in Hollywood. And some of these contests, part of their prizes is even like, hey, we're going to arrange some meetings with different people in Hollywood and fly you out to LA, and you're going to meet all these people. So depending on the contest, it depends what it is. So there are 4, and here are the 4. There is the Academy Award sponsored contest, the Nicholl Fellowship. There is the Austin Screenplay competition, which does do both TV and film. So if you're interested in TV writing, this is a great one to enter. Final Draft's Big Break contest. This is sponsored by Final Draft, that creates the software, and the Page Awards. I will list these down below. I'm not going to list the links because sometimes the links change or get outdated. So I'm just going to list them. So just open up your Google search and just type in, Nicholl Fellowship, and it will pop up. You're not going to have to scroll very far. Now, all of these competitions are good competitions. The winners, again, are read by industry people. People want to know, especially upcoming managers, upcoming agents. Man, they're looking at these lists because they're wanting some new clients. They're wanting people like who's hot, who's coming up, who could I possibly rep. So that does tend to happen with these contests. So just be aware, these are the big 4. Now, there are some others that are popular that get a lot of submissions and that do give pretty good feedback. These 4, though, if you want to start moving your career and you want to know, like, hey, am I ready to really start trying to break in? If you can place in one of these 4, you're like right on the verge and you're in a good spot. So these are the 4 that are really the best ones. Again, there are others that are still good. And last, don't knock a competition just because of the prizes. Like, sometimes the prize money might actually be worth it. It's like, hey, I want an extra $1,000, extra $500, or whatever it is. I've got this screenplay. It's not doing anything with it. It cost me $20 to enter. Just submit it. See what happens. I mean, it costs you $20, but you might win $500. So who knows? The main thing I would say here, though, is just make sure you have realistic expectations. Know that the notes you get aren't always going to be great. Sometimes they'll be spot on, sometimes a little iffy. Okay, there is going to be a cost to submit, and there are some that are better than others. So just be aware of that and you'll be fine. Again, the names of those 4 main ones are in the descriptions below, so be sure to check that out. Also, be sure to check out other links below. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If it has and you found value, please be sure to like, subscribe, bell, all those things. I really do appreciate it. And when you go to tell a story, Whether you're entering into a contest or not, when you tell a story that matters. See you later.